Greetings, my fellow normies. I hope you're doing all well today. So, I have an update to Joe Rogan, and he made a response to talk of Spotify censoring his podcast. I'd like to know what your thoughts are on this and stuff. Do you believe him or what? Are you a listener? Do you even care? And all that. Today, popular podcaster Joe Rogan and his relationship with his streaming platform Spotify have made headlines in recent weeks, and he addressed some of the controversy during his recent podcast with comedian Tim Dillon. Rogan and Dillon spoke during episode number 1544 of the Joe Rogan Experience after Spotify employees potentially wanted to censor and edit his podcast. Spotify has an exclusive license rights to Joe Rogan Experience, and according to reports from media outlets, some employees have threatened to strike if they do not receive editorial control over Rogan's podcast, taking issue with some of the subjects Rogan speaks about, as well as what he says. And on this note, and further, he says, however, according to the podcasting UFC commentator, Spotify has not spoken to him about censoring his show or any other internal company dialogue about the situation. Rogan had this to say in the article: "Listen, me on the outside reading these fucking articles like, oh my God, Spotify is censoring Rogan," Rogan said. "Spotify has said nothing. Listen to me, nothing. They haven't said anything to my manager. They haven't said anything to me. They've said nothing. They've apparently had meetings, but they have had a lot of meetings. They have meetings all sorts of times to the shows. They have meetings about the music they have. It's an open-minded company," Rogan continued. "They treat their employees very well. They let them have their discussions about things. I don't know what these discussions are like. I don't know what happens. I don't really care. But in terms of my silencing me, zero. There's nothing been." Now, to put some perspective in this, if that's the case, then what's the deal with some of his top rated shows, like with Alex Jones to John Hancock? There's a lot of controversial figures that Joe Rogan has brought on, and Rogan goes on to say that he goes, "I don't know what the actual conversation has been from Spotify talking to these employees, but if these employees are listening, I would tell you emphatically, I am not in any way anti-trans," Rogan said. "Not in any way. I'm 100% for people to be able to do whatever they want as long as it doesn't harm other people. If you choose to do anything, whatever you want, whatever your personal choice is, I'm happy with. And that's my position as well, too." Rogan said to Dillon further, "Is there somebody at Spotify complaining about Abigail Cherie's episode?" He said, I'm sure there's someone complaining about it. But the thing is that person, if it's just one person, that person made a big stink and it went global. So somebody at Spotify needs to rein in their fucking employees if that's the case. And the reason why so many people follow Joe Rogan like myself is that he brings on very controversial people, controversial topics. It's up people that are experts in the UFO phenomenon, theories about the earth, just all kinds of things. Just really not off the wall, but things that mainstream science won't touch because it'll ruin their careers and stuff, you know? They talk about the Great Flood. They talk about some of the civilizations that we have found that we have no explanation how they built the things that they built. They talk about the pyramids and the secrecy around the pyramids and all that. So, and I've even stated too that, there was something out about a week ago about the presidential debates and stuff, and said that they like to see Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan said something, or somebody said something about it, and you go, I like to, host it, and I'm like, I'm cool with that because Joe Rogan actually asks real questions, stuff that actually affects you and me, the average American, not these piss poor fucking um, these damn outlets like CNN and Fox News and whatever else that ask questions that have absolutely nothing to do with the average American on a daily basis. It's an outdated model of debate, you know? And so I want to hear about real issues, about the economy. I want to know what they're going to do, how they're going to get things back on track. What are we doing about the trade imbalance with China? What are we doing about bringing more jobs back home? What are we doing about big tech, using labor from overseas instead of American citizens? Or, what are you doing about the wage gap? What are you doing about, so on and so forth? You know what I'm saying? What about new industries that are coming about? What are you going to do about the automation issue that's coming about as well too, where it's going to put a lot of people out of business, stuff like that, maybe something even, more like a constitutional amendment for term limits on House and Senate members and stuff. Not that the president can do that, but there's a lot of different issues and stuff. I'd like to know what your primary issues are and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And stuff. And maybe it's opposite from mine, and that's great. That's the dialogue we want to have, and that's what Joe Rogan has. So if there's a certain segment of people at Spotify that are upset about it, go fuck off. You don't like it? You're a fucking simp, you know? And that's what this country is about. The expression and discussion of different topics. You don't like it? Tough shit, then leave. Spotify needs to get some balls, find out who these people are who made a big fucking stink about it, and get rid of them. Yeah, I know that's harsh. But you know what? I'm sorry, you're running a business, not a daycare center. You know? And a lot of these people need to get over themselves and stuff. It's just like, give me a break, dude. So during his discussion with Dylan, Rogan said that sometimes when he's talking on the podcast, he says things he doesn't even mean, as he is talking off the top of his head. He also said that if Spotify employees have an issue with the conversation he had on his podcast, they should be even more concerned with the lyrics of some of the music on the platform. Bingo. Bingo. Rogan had this to say about the new hip hop. I'm sure they've had issues with other episodes as well, but I've said before, I'm talking off the top of my head. A lot of times I'm saying shit I don't even mean because I'm saying it because this is a fucking podcast. And if you have a problem with people saying things, shit, and you work for Spotify, maybe you should listen to some of the lyrics, okay? Because some of the lyrics in some of your fucking music you guys play over and over and over again makes me shit pale in comparison. Pale. If you're listening to some rap music now, I'm not anti-rap. I love rap music. I'm fucking saying go back and listen to NWA. Go back to listen to some of the earlier shit. Like go back and listen to Ice-T, Cop Killer from Body Count days. Ooh. Come on. These kids, these young folk in the workplace are just have no idea. And you wonder why Joe Rogan has become the number one podcast in the world and why Spotify made a deal and bought him for $100 million. Why? Because, he brings, I don't know if you listen to him, but like I said, he brings on a lot of controversial people. He touches upon a lot of topics that people in the mainstream will not touch and will not entertain. And he entertains it no matter if he believes it or not. But it's very interesting stuff and all that. You know what I'm saying? The stuff that people used to call you a conspiracy theory and a nutbag and all this. And it's like, well, now it's all kind of coming true now, isn't it? So what do you have to say to that? It's not really per se a conspiracy now, after all, is it? So, all right. So I'm gonna close this out. I want to thank you all. You all have been wonderful, and you've been listening to my podcast. You've been liking, and you've been sharing and subscribing, and I really, really appreciate that. So, if you would please take care to my fellow normies out there. Peace out.